Hi, I'm Laura Beth Wells, and this is Theater Thursdays. Today we're talking with Jason Fogarty, the Technical Director of the Clarence Brown Theater. Hi, Jason.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi again, I'm Laura Beth Wells, and this is Theater Thursdays. I'm coming to you from Knoxville, Tennessee, the native lands of the Yuchi and Muskogee Creek people, as well as the Cherokee Nations. I'm an adjunct professor at the University of Tennessee, as well as an actor with the Clarence Brown Theater Company. And today we are talking with Jason Fogarty, the Technical Director at Clarence Brown Theater. Hi, Jason. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Jason Fogarty. I'm the Technical Director here at the Clarence Brown Theater. I've been the TD for 2 seasons now and have moved up from Assistant Technical Director.
And for those folks who might be watching and who might be thinking, oh, well, I love theater, but I don't, I'm not an actor. I'm not. What was your background? How did you even end up being a technical director?
Gotcha. So I started, it's an interesting story. I went to school for graphic design and very quickly decided that I wasn't going to be the type of person to sit behind a desk from 9 to 5. And my wife is in theater. She's the props person here at Clarence Brown Theater, and just was amazed by the magic of theater, and joined her on a couple shows in college, working on shows, and fell in love with theater. And then from that day forward, I've just been working my way up through the ranks.
I love that. I love how people sometimes, they sort of find their way, like, oh my gosh, this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
So specifically with your job in terms of Blithe Spirit, what were the specific challenges with Blithe Spirit? We've talked about a couple of other times this month. Obviously, this is a play with ghosts and paranormal activity and things that happen. What were the specific challenges that you had to face in terms of building this production?
Sure. From the very first talk of the show, it was all about the tricks. The very first talk with the designer, and with Susan McMillan, our production manager, it was all about the tricks. The script says this, the script says that. We started out with a huge list. I think it was 20 or so tricks, and just working with the director and designer, trying to find out what exactly they had to have, what they could do away with, or what their want and wish list was. We came up with a list, narrowed it down, that we could really focus and do those tricks well.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we had the time, here's some stuff that we could come back to. Or we had a list of low energy, low cost, but high value items, such as the sconces spinning and the picture frame falling over the fireplace. Those didn't take a lot of time, but they had a high value, especially in that last scene. So it was just prioritizing where we wanted to go with that design, and how much time we had to spend on the build.
Yeah, I know two of the biggest tricks were the chandelier falling and then the archway collapsing in and out of itself. And they were very specific because they then had to restore. So talk to us a little bit more about how the mechanics behind it. How did you even make it happen?
Yeah, when we first heard about the arch falling in the design, really wasn't concerned. We're like, sure, we can drop that. The kicker was that it needed to restore before curtain call, which added tenfold to the process of figuring out how this happens. Originally we thought that we would grab it from above a line set or something in the grid to help pull it back up. That would be visible, very visible to the audience with the front light set up. So what we ended up doing is using one of our winches. Our cable drum is driven by a motor,
Mm-hmm.
and a wire rope goes around some pulleys and out to the end of that beam. We've figured out the point that it had to pivot and the amount of power that we needed to pull that back into place. The whole thing was kind of like a truss style structure covered in Luan. We built it as light as we possibly could, but still be strong. so that it wouldn't smash to pieces when it hit the floor or when it pulled back up.
I know that was one of my favorite moments. I played Mrs. Bradman in the show, and standing backstage waiting for curtain call and watching on the monitor like the utter destruction that is happening on stage, and you can hear it, and I can hear Brian screaming, and then we come out for curtain call and it was all fine. It was amazing. Like, even being in the show, I love hearing how it all happened and came together, because it was magic even being inside the show. You mentioned specifically when you were talking about these tricks, collaborating with the other shops. I think specifically with, you talked earlier about the chandelier. How did that process work between your shop and the other shops, and everyone collaborating together to make some of these tricks work?
Sure. Yeah. Every shop has our strengths and weaknesses. And in a collaboration, we all pick up where one would fall off. This, in particular, the chandelier had to be built in such a way that withstood a pretty heavy shock load when it came slamming to the floor. Instead of pulling a prop chandelier from stock, we decided that the bare bones of the chandelier, needed to be built in the scene shop out of steel. So we created the frame, which the frame by itself was not very appealing. We handed it off to the prop shop, who made it look amazing. And they handed it off to electrics to electrify it. And then it came back to us to actually rig up and make it fall to the stage and restore. So I think the biggest thing is that we each pick up where the other leaves off, and to make something amazing.
I love that. And you know what I love too about hearing you talk about that is hearing about all the different jobs that are needed in the theater. Welders and electricians and in addition to carpenters and all of these other things. And we don't tend to think about all of these different artisans coming together to make theater magic happen, and that's exactly what happens. But as we sometimes know in the theater, things don't always work. What process of trial and error, were there any of these tricks that you started working on and then they didn't work? And what was your process for dealing with that in the moment?
Yeah, there were several on this show, several tricks that went through a process where we thought, when we started the design of the trick, that we had it figured out, and we knew, we felt confident that it was going to work the first time. Ruth's entrance was a project that I worked on, that she needed to lower to the floor. She needed to levitate through the doorway and lower down to the floor. And we couldn't nail that. The mechanism was too slow. We were having to wait. It was too noisy. It was in a really quiet part of the show. It was too noisy when we were lowering her to the floor. So we, talking with the director and the designer, we kind of came up with a different plan, kind of salvaged maybe half of that rig to roll her in, and kind of went back to the drawing board and put something together, tried it again, and we nailed it that time. So it ended up, we just pushed her through the door, and then she stepped off into black, which was just as effective, and it was simple, so we knew it was going to work.
No. In terms of Blithe Spirit and just your career in general, what are your favorite things? What's your favorite thing about being a technical director? What do you love about your job?
I really love the challenges that I'm presented. And it's a weird love-hate relationship with challenges. You're like, oh no, when somebody comes at you, you're like, oh no, what do you want me to do? But from the point the challenge is presented, the process of figuring out, researching, how am I going to pull this off? How are we going to pull this off? A lot of times in the shop, we bounce ideas off each other, talk through something. Somebody might have a different way of seeing something, or different ideas and how to get stuff done. So we have a collaboration in the shop on projects. The creative thinking that goes into it, the actual process of making or building, and then the final product on stage. Just seeing that from paper to realization come to life is pretty awesome.
I have a question. Do you get sad when you see it torn down at the end? Because I know I do. As an actor, I don't like to be around for that final, that when the strike starts, because it hurts my soul a little bit. I can't imagine having built it. How do you deal with watching it be torn down?
Yeah, absolutely. You put so much time and energy into building this design. It's hard to see it go in the dumpster. And one of the things that I've started doing is we've got a network of folks, high school, community theaters in Pigeon Forge, a network of people that take the set and repurpose it. And it's been great. I think for Candide, we got 95% of that set was repurposed. We don't have a lot of storage, so we can't hold on to a lot of things. But it's great to help the community out with that. With those resources.
I didn't know that. That makes me so happy. The magic lives on, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today, Jason. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us for Theater Thursdays. I'm Laura Beth Wells, and stay with us all month as we keep talking about Blythe Spirit.